afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for the January 2018, yes, I said 2018, the January 2018 Worldox Virtual User Group meeting from Attorney Computer Systems, where today we are talking about best practices for copying and creating a new version of an existing document so that you don't lose the old document. Mary Jo's going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about all the brand new ribbon options in Word in the latest Worldox Ribbon in Word. And so, without any further ado, I am going to press the series of magic buttons that will get us to a point where we can go into Worldox and talk about some best practices. Mary Jo?
Okay. So if you have a document that you want to copy for, maybe it's a form document, or you have a document you've saved and you want to go in and use that document again and just go over the top of it with your information, but you want to save the original, things like that. That's what we're talking about here. So if we have a document, and Paul, I'm going to just save a new document in here so that I don't do any of our current.
You don't want to mess up my stuff.
No. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put this into Purdue Law. So I'm just going to create a quick test document here. Let's make it a miscellaneous and say OK. So now I've got this document saved in Worldox. Now let's say I want to bring that document up and I want to use it for a future document. So there's a couple of things that you normally might have done. Maybe you'd opened it and you would have made your changes and then you would have done a save as. But how many times have we went in and made our changes and accidentally hit save, and we've saved over the top of our document? So what we're going to do is instead, I'm going to go out here to our favorite files because that should be just right up here at the top. We'll grab that test document, maybe. There's Purdue Law, is that it? Okay, so I'm going to open this back up. And I'm going to make some changes. But before I make my changes and forget to hit save as and accidentally hit save, I'm going to save it right now as a save as. So I'm just going to open it and do save as. That's going to allow me to save this document. I can give it a new name. You know, maybe this is going to be test 2. And I can save this as a brand new file right here. So that makes it so that I can't overwrite my original document accidentally. I'm going to save it right up front before I make any changes. So here's my new document. I'm going to name it test 2 and say OK. And now I've got that document saved as a different version. And you can see right up here, now I'm in my test 2 document. There's what I've named it. So now I can come in and I can make my changes to this document and then do a save, and now I'll still have both of my documents in Worldox without having saved over the top of the other. So we're going to come back in. There's my original document. There's my new test 2 after that. So that is the best way to come in and save a document prior to having to do the save as after and accidentally hitting save and losing your document. Now you can save these as versions as well. So if you wanted to keep this as your main document and you want to save it as a version 2 without overriding, you can also do that. So if I open my first document and I want to save this as version 2, again, I can come in and do my save as first and save it as version 2. And now I'll just make this be, that's version 2 now. So if we go out, I'll have 2 versions of this document in Worldox already, and then I can open the one I want to modify, the most current, and then I, again, won't overwrite it. So now I've got 2 versions here. If I want to display those versions, we can do that. And the last one, version 2, is always my most recent. I can open it and then make my changes so I don't accidentally, again, forget to save it as a version. Paul?
It's funny because those are very simple things. It's a very simple best practice that really you could have done all along before you had Worldox or when you had a different document management system. But I can't tell you how many people say, "Oh, that was the best part of your training right there," because that is just, it's human nature to just hit that save button and after you've made your changes and lose everything.
Yep, absolutely.
Now I am going to talk about some new and some old options in the Worldox Ribbon. I'm surprised by how many people don't even know there is a Worldox Ribbon, but I'm in version 2016 of Microsoft Office, and this, of course, is Word. And here I am, and I have a whole wealth of things that I can do in this Worldox Ribbon that some of them are new. Some of them are just showing up in the latest versions of the GX4 Word templates. Some of them have been around for quite a while. So we're going to take a quick tour through here. First off, if you have quick profiles, they will show up here. Now, a quick profile, as you're about to see, once I click this is a quick profile I just developed that allows me to instantly save this as a Purdue report. So in essence, it's going to automatically, doesn't give it a new name, I'll put that in, but it automatically saves it as our mythical Purdue Law. It says Matter Zero report with me as the author and typist. That's called a quick profile. You'll find them over here. That's where I created it. All I did was added it. And as long as you've got all of these fields down here filled out, it will show up under quick profiles in Word. If you, for instance, leave doc type blank, then it's not one that's going to show up in this list, because this is for things that will instantly profile your documents, not something where you then further have to go on and distinguish between one doc type and another. So having a quick profile saved is great, and that's a kind of a topic for a different conversation, but then being able to access those quick profiles right from this menu, right in Word, that's kind of huge. Another thing that's new to this toolbar, or to this ribbon, is favorites. Many of you are familiar with the fact that in version GX4, Worldox remembers your favorite matters and other favorite folders like user folders or administrative folders, and allows you to instantly profile to them. Like I can pick, I bet I got Purdue Law Offices on here now. Well, let's just do, help me out, Mary Jo. There it is, thank you. So once again, I select that quick profile and that favorite, and what that does is that just fills in the client and the matter. It does not fill in anything else, and these should be pre-populating, but we're using kind of some sample data, so author and typist would normally be filled in, and all you'd have to do is the doc type. So the difference between that is that these favorites are maintained for you on a revolving basis based on what you have done, what clients and what matters you have used most recently, and they're going to show up right here. Whereas these quick profiles are things that you set up and they stay there, okay? Now, these things are pretty much self-explanatory. These just open a file, save a file, or save as a new file. These are the same buttons you're going to find on the File menu here, okay? And they're the same things that you'll find you'll get to by simply clicking on Save or simply clicking on Save As. So these things are just quick buttons to get you to those things. And one thing you'll notice is that these sorts of buttons can be added to the Quick Access toolbar. So you could take all three of these buttons right here, all three of these commands, and put them right up in your Quick Access toolbar, so you don't even have to get to the Worldox ribbon to do that. This is our searches box, and so I can do some very simple things. Like I can type, let's type pickle. I'm kind of curious to see if the word pickle appears in a doc ID or name in any of our documents. And I do have the word pickle in apparently 72 different documents. So there's that. And we can also look at quick save documents. Now, we've talked about this before. Mary Jo and I are not big fans of quick saving. Quick saving is something you can do in GX4 where you're saving something without really putting it away, and then the thought is that you're going to come back later and profile those. That's why we don't like it, because people tend to put things away and not come back and profile them. But if you had done that, this button would show you those. This button will show you all items with the same profile as the document that you currently have on your screen. So it'll do a quick search for anything that has an identical profile. And this will show you your document favorites. So this is kind of a quick way to show you your favorite files in Word documents, basically your most recently used Word files. So most recently used, things with the same profile as what you have, quick saved, or searching for whatever you've typed in here using this button. These things here have to do with document stamping. So update footer simply says, hey, make sure that the current doc stamp is in there. That really should not ever have to be used, because update footer is something that happens automatically in Worldox, so not to worry about that. Stamping options, and this document only, these are all related to stamping. So we can clear the whole stamp, and if you're wondering what is a doc stamp, let's make sure I have one on this document. I do. So that's your document ID that shows up in the lower, usually the lower left-hand corner. Usually it's gray. Usually it's a little smaller than the regular text. All of these things are going to help distinguish it as a stamp, a file stamp or a document stamp. And so you can clear the whole stamp. You can clear the code for the stamp. You can temporarily clear the stamp. More on that in a second, because that's a best practice. You can wipe the footer, which I don't recommend because there could be other things in the footer that you need that you're not aware that you're wiping, or you can insert the stamp. And then you have this document only, which is disable, re-enable, and then check stamping status. So if I want to temporarily clear the stamp because I'm sending a letter and I don't want the stamp on the letter, or I'm printing a pleading and I don't want the document stamp on the pleading, my advice to you is to temporarily clear the stamp under stamping options. And when you want to put it back, my advice to you is to re-enable stamp under this document only. Now, certain other things will do the exact same thing. You've got a whole bunch of different ways to do the exact same thing, just using different terminology and slightly different results. So be careful, but my recommendation for clearing is use temporarily clear under stamping options, and for re-enabling is to use re-enable stamp under this document only. Refresh options. Let's see what this is. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, refresh caption. If you've saved your document and it hasn't picked up the new name here, refresh caption will do that. And refresh drop-downs. If you've added a quick profile, or maybe you've been in this document all day long and you've got new favorites, refresh drop-downs will do that, and refresh caption will refresh that. And then finally, these two are just like from heaven. This is make PDF from doc. It just instantly creates a PDF document from the doc that's on the screen. And the only difference here is it's making a PDF-A, which some of the courts require. It's a slightly different format that kind of flattens the file out and makes it less editable, which is what the court wants. And then finally, well, we've got this information one, but this is really for me and Mary Jo when we want to look at what version of the template you have or something like that. Finally, we have these file options if you want to insert a file, insert a picture, or open a doc with repair, which is very infrequently used, but insert picture and insert file can be used quite frequently. These are good buttons to press to do that because they involve Worldox in the opening of the file that you're going to insert. So they're basically just good ways to get a file inserted or a picture inserted that's coming from Worldox. So that's it. Those are the new and many of the old template options that a lot of people just plain didn't even know were there because they're kind of hiding on a separate ribbon. Now keep in mind, some of these things, if they're actual buttons, you can right-click on them and turn them into, add them to the quick access toolbar. These things over here. So play with that too, because the whole point is to get them up here and readily accessible instead of having to come over to this Worldox ribbon and then go back to the home ribbon. And that's that. Patty, did you say we had a question?
Yep. Caroline, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Caroline? Maybe she all of a sudden had a bout of shyness?
Well, she did also type a question, so if it's the same one, she would like to know if you're using the search feature, does it search all of Worldox or just your favorites? All of Worldox.
All of Worldox. This search feature right here is going to search for doc ID or name and content through all of Worldox. So it's looking at the contents of the document, it's also looking at the name, and if you were to type a doc ID in there, it would find that as well. All of Worldox, not just your favorites. Okay. So next month, we're going to talk about printing multiple documents all at the same time right from Worldox without having to open them. Mary Jo will take that topic. And I'm going to talk about send tos. Perhaps you've seen send to desktop, send to my documents. We can write other send tos that send things other places and do other things and how they are managing that. So I'm going to talk about that. Of course, it wouldn't be a virtual user group meeting if I did not take you to our web page and show you how you can get to all of our video content. So if you go to attorneycomputersystems.com, notice the emphasis on that. last S in the word systems. If you'll go there and then click on videos, or just hover over the word videos and you'll get all our titles, but I prefer to actually click on the word, then you will be taken to a page that lists every video content, every video title or group or show that we have. What do we call these? Every video title. We have 4 live events. We, of course, have the 3 virtual user group meetings, one on Tabs, one on Practice Master, one on Worldox. We have our Coffee Pot webinars. More on those in a second. And then we have our 2 pre-recorded titles. Mary Jo has her e-Bytes video series, where she'll take one topic each month from each of the 3 programs, one on Tabs, one on Practice Master, one on Worldox, and she'll record a short 2 or 3 or 4-minute video that takes something really cool that we can explain very quickly and puts it right out there. We have our longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where either I or Mary Jo will take a broader topic and we'll go into much greater detail. We'll get into all the nuts and bolts. It's usually something that can't be explained in just 2 or 3 minutes. And so we'll spend 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15 to 20 minutes, explaining whatever it is that we're talking about there. And then, of course, we have our live events, the Coffee Pot webinars, where I talk about different add-on products and enhancements to each of the 3 programs. And then, of course, our virtual user group meeting. So if we click on one of the live events, we will see that we get a description of what that is. What is the Worldox virtual user group meeting? What is the next one? What are we covering? How do you register? There are 2 links. They're both identical. Some people like to click on something that actually shows them where they're going, so that's what that one is. And then as you scroll down, you will find that we have pre-recorded versions of all the other live events we've ever had. This is the one you're currently in. And of course, it's not out yet. It'll take, anywhere from a few days to sometimes a couple weeks, depending on what our demand is on post-production. But once that's done being post-produced, then it'll show up here. And then, of course, as you scroll down, you'll see recorded versions of everything we've ever done. So we're in the Worldox virtual user group meeting area, and so we're looking at prior episodes of the Worldox virtual user group meeting. And of course, you can simply type something. If we wanted to look at something like document search, you might type document here and then see either what drops down in the quick list, or hit enter, or click on view all results, and you'll get taken to a page that gives you a more in-depth description of each item that you can look at before you click and watch the video. So that's it. Everybody have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the month, and we will see you in February. Thanks much. Bye-bye.